The trips really have a variety of different focuses, but they all kind of revolve around service and serving others and homestays and kind of language immersion parts. But to make it really easy, we've kind of divided it into three different main groupings. The first are service adventures, which is really the majority of what we do, which is the homestays and the service projects. Another is conservation expeditions. These are based around science-focused trips. So you're learning about sea turtle conservation work, rainforest conservation. You can actually go and deal with hatchlings and kind of help on beach patrols for sea turtles. In the Galapagos Islands, you can go there and learn about the ecology of the islands and everything else, sea lions, stuff like that. So those are more science-focused. And then our third is culture quests, and these are more revolving around kind of history and also some language focus. This would be, for example, like a traveling seminar through northern Spain while kind of hiking and biking through the countryside. Or going to live in a Shaolin Kung Fu monastery in China, where you're teaching orphaned children English while they're teaching you Kung Fu and Chinese. So there's a whole lot of variety of things you can actually do on these trips. But I wanted to touch briefly on the homestays and the service, just because that is really the major focus of what we're all about from the start. How many of you guys have done a homestay before? Is anyone in here? Yeah, thanks. I should say what it is. Who's lived with another family, either in the States or outside of the States? Where'd you do yours?
Lima, Peru.
Oh, Lima. Okay, cool. How'd you like it?
I loved it.
Did you just come back from that? Were you?
No, I went last spring break.
Last spring break. Okay,
yeah. Cool.
How'd you find the family? What was that?
Well, we have my church. We have a sister church in Lima that we support financially, and we went and we knew the pastor there, and they just took volunteers from their church, and so they found a family for each of us.
Awesome.
So me and my mom stayed with the family in the church for a couple days.
How did you find your Spanish?
I mean, it was difficult. My mom knows nothing, so.
It was all in you.
Yeah, she thinks I'm basically fluent. She was really impressed.
That's great.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. They were the daughter was learning English at the same time, so she'd help me practice and I'd help her practice or whatever. So it was nice to use even a little English. It was very satisfying. But the Spanish was a lot of fun too.
And do you keep in touch with them at all, or was it?
Yeah, we've emailed a few times. We sent them a Christmas card and stuff like that, but it's mostly just over email.
Sure, email, Facebook, probably, stuff like that.
Yeah, she always sends emails in English, and then I'll respond to them in Spanish.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, yeah, for the rest of you that kind of haven't done a homestay before, really heard about them, it's usually the part that our students are really nervous about going into the program. But once they come out of it, we do evaluations, and almost unanimously, it's what they think is the highlight of the trip. Our students will stay in touch once they get home, a lot of Facebooking, emailing, things like that. We even have students that go back down with their American family to introduce them to their Costa Rican or Peruvian family. They're really, really warm, welcoming people, though. They want to have you guys in their homes. A lot of times they're just as nervous as you are about having someone in their house, because they're like, oh, well, I don't speak English, or is that going to be okay? What do they like to eat? What do they like to do? Things like that. I was telling an earlier class story. We had a homestay situation in Costa Rica a couple years ago. It was the second day, during the homestays, and I was on the work site and asking one of our students kind of how she was liking it. She was like, it's going great, but my homestay family's they've served me pizza for every meal so far. Okay, so I went and talked to mom, and apparently she had to prepare for having a homestay student from America. She just watched a bunch of American TV, and so just thought Americans loved pizza. So she's like, they don't cook pizza normally in Costa Rica. That's not normal. So she looked online for recipes and all that stuff, went out and bought the ingredients, and came back. She said, okay, so they like pizza? All right, every meal, pizza. But they're really, really trying to be really warm and welcoming to you guys, and that's sort of just an example of that. But it's also a good example of kind of how we can go somewhere else and teach them that, not all the stereotypes about Americans are necessarily true. There's a lot of kind of negative stereotypes that float around out there that just by traveling, you can sort of be an ambassador for your country and your school, and everything else, just to show them that there's other people in America than what they just might see on TV that are scarfing down pizza apparently for 3 meals a day. During the time in your homestay, a normal structure would be you would wake up, 7 o'clock in the morning, something like that, eat breakfast in the house, leave, go down to the work site for the morning, work for a morning, then take a lunch break. We do that as a group usually, so everyone would be sent lunch, usually your little brothers and sisters in the homestay will bring it to you. And then we'll eat together. In the afternoon, we'll work some more. Then we'll break, and you guys can go play soccer, hang out with each other, hang out with your families, Sometimes there's excursions to other villages or quinceañera parties, stuff like that. Then you'll have dinner with your family again, and then we usually have like a nighttime activity, where you guys can arrange your own activities. But we give you guys a lot of freedom to really explore the villages, be on your own, practice your Spanish, hang out with your friends in that way, and kind of develop as leaders and sort of young adults there.